Right. Well, fabulous to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me to talk about the ambitious women mindset. The ambitious women mindset is something that is I'm very passionate about, and I feel is really important to support women or anybody really with their mindset to be in balance and to feel like they can achieve their life and career goals. And I'm going to talk about why that's important in a moment. But through my journey, and I'll talk about my journey, because everybody sees the business side, if you like. But the reality is we've all got a life behind us, and we've got to be very mindful about how we manage things in our life. And during my own journey over the last 10 years, I would say, and I've obviously, had a career history now. I'm 43, so I've been, working since I was 21, so just over 20 years. I've always had coaches working with me, and I actually started my first company when I was 26. I launched a coaching company, and I had a team of 40 at that point, which was quite a learning curve when I was just 26, but I had 20 coaches working for me. And so I've always been very passionate about coaching. And it's a thing that's important to us at Supermums, is that we not only train people in Salesforce technical skills, but we also equip them with the coaching tools and techniques to perform with their mindset, to have that confidence and to sort of be aware of what they, to know what they need to be aware of, to self-manage and achieve what they need to, because it's not just about the technical skills, it's about the mindset piece. So the 6 kind of key ingredients that I'm going to be talking through tonight, and I'm going to ask for your, for you to reflect on this as we go through. So it's not just me talking at you. I want you to get as much value as you can out of this session. I'm going to be talking about goals, energy, boundaries, confidence, relationship, and impact. And I feel, having gone through an experience of being a coach since 2000, I trained up in 2006 as an NLP coach, and having had coaching from people and run a coaching company, these are the 6 areas that come up over and over again that are important we take control of. And I'm going to talk a lot about us taking control of this and being mindful about it, as opposed to feeling like we're just in this treadmill where everything's happening around us. So that's the background to this. It's not just something I've made up, but I've got a lot of years of experience of coaching, and it's something that I like to bring to women at Supermums every day, and anybody else that's part of Supermums really. Why this is becoming very prevalent at the moment is, I think, one, we've just been through a very turbulent time with the pandemic, and a lot of people have fallen out of that and are still picking themselves up, if you like, and in that trauma recovery mode of trying to get their lives back on track. But there's 2 other reports you see on the left hand side in the pink box that have recently come out. Salesforce did an article about this, that women are leaving companies at the highest rate ever. How can we do better? And the headline comment was, many women feel burnt out or unsupported when it comes to career progression. And Salesforce have based this article on the reports below, which is a report that was produced by Leanin and McKenzie Company, which terms the whole situation as the great breakup, according to the 8th annual report, Women in Workplace. Women don't feel supported. Now, it's interesting, obviously, that's a call out to employers to do something, but equally, I'm going to turn it on its head a little bit and say that as individuals, we need to take control of this ourselves. We shouldn't be the victim. We have the capacity to take control, be mindful about what we need, and to take action on that. And whether that can be achieved within the existing company you're working in, or whether you need to move somewhere else and find what you need in. I think half the problem is that, women or people, I'm mindful of, as having a diverse audience, are really clear about what it is that they need and want in their life. So if women are feeling burnt out, it shouldn't be necessarily the company's fault. I feel like women need to be really clear on, well, why are they burnt out? Why have they got to this situation? And that's why I truly believe that as individuals, we should invest in support for ourselves, for our own personal development, our own mind and techniques, because it's not just the company creating that situation. So there's lots of reflection points here. It's not to say it's not the reality of the situation, but what I'd like to equip you with tonight is some coaching tools and techniques for you to feel more in control of this. Now, where you might be right now is nervous to step up or launch a new career. You might feel stuck in a rut. You might feel burnt out. You might feel one of those things. It might be something else. You might not have the confidence to do something at work. You might feel scared. I think the thing is you are only going to be interested in this session tonight, or coaching yourself, if you are feeling a certain level of pain of where you are now, like there's something that you need to change. Obviously, optimizing performance, if you think about coaching in the sporting industry, it's normal. Every sports professional will have a coach because they want to perform, they want to do better. They're not necessarily as a pain point, but they know they're not as good as they need to be. So again, we go back to that question of like, where are you now and where do you want to be? Because again, you will only really take on board these things if you see there's a better future ahead of you and you want to achieve something new. And so goals is going to be my first sort of topic for tonight, really. And you're probably going to have to do some homework on this, because you certainly won't have the time or capacity to write down all your goals that you're going to achieve. But having goals is the first thing, right? Because if you've got no goals, where are you going? What purpose do you have? What sense of achievement do you have? So that's the first part we're going to talk about. But before I sort of crack on with the content, the main sense of, just to summarize what I was talking about, really, we need to mindfully juggle, not struggle. We need to mindfully achieve balance. We need to mindfully prevent burnout, and we need to mindfully optimize balance. And I want to equip women, or anybody who's interested in this, to be able to take control of their life and balance. Now, my background, a lot of you will look at LinkedIn and go, oh, Heather's achieved X, Y, Z, so my list of things as I've gone through, I've run a series of businesses throughout my life. I was an NLP certified coach in 2016. I then decided to retrain in Salesforce and became a Salesforce consultant, and then grew a consultancy which had a team of 20 people, and we won the EMEA Partner of the Year award. During that process, I learned a whole host of skills and got certifications, and overseen 700 projects with 350 clients, and learned a lot. And we've grown Supermums. I'll talk a little bit more about Supermums in a moment. But behind all of that, I was dealing with relationships with quite narcissistic individuals in both life and work. I had a chronic health condition, which I didn't know what it was for 5 or 6 years, and it turned out to be endometriosis. I had 2 kids. I lost both my parents. And I was running 3 businesses and trying to keep, all the staff in post. And we had the pandemic, and I lost my consultancy after the pandemic. It didn't survive the pandemic because all the projects went up into the air, and all the team were like struggling to deal with projects that were all over the place, and deal with their families. And a few of them went on furlough because they couldn't work while they were doing it, and we just didn't survive it. And we took out a loan to try and cover it off, but everybody was really burnt out. So it was a real shame to lose that business after the pandemic. That was trauma in itself, if you like. I then decided to go through a divorce, and my dad passed away just all at the same time. So I really have, alongside achieving a lot of stuff, been through a lot of rubbish in the background. And we all have stuff going on, right? This isn't a pity party for me, but the reality is we have a lot of stuff going on in our life. We have kids, we have parents, we have friends that we might need to support. We have people that might be quite negative. And we somehow have to juggle all of this, right? We somehow have to work and still, want to achieve things at work, still earn money. But we have all these other aspects in our life. And again, the Ambitious Women mindset is there to equip you to weather all these storms and to be resilient. And I have to say, having trained up as a coach in NLP techniques when I was 26 has put me in such good stead to be able to self-manage. And I haven't, yes, I can coach myself through a lot of things and sort of, but I'm aware of what I need, but I haven't been able to do that all the time without having a coach holding my hand. So I've had a counsellor for 2 years. I've worked with coaches and mentors, and I spend quite a bit of money on coaches and mentors now to help me, and I'll talk about where they might fit into your life. But I rely on those people. No, rely is the wrong word. I've invested in those people because I know that I can't do it by myself to get me to where I want to be, and that's sometimes out of those places, where you kind of like, okay, I'm not seeing the road here, like where do I want to be? A coach would be like, right, okay, let's get you back on track. What's the first thing you need to do, and to hold your hand and keep you accountable and keep you focused. So I'm not glossy, and I've done everything, achieved everything. There's a lot of challenges there, and everybody has those things. So I want to equip you with the mindset to overcome any sort of, to give you that resilience really, and to know that it is possible, that there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and to get you back on track. So hopefully this mindset piece will kind of give you that awareness of what the things are you need to do. But Supermums is one of the things that's been the light of my life, and I'm absolutely very, very passionate about what we do. Personally, I love empowering and coaching women. So when I combined, I suppose, my previous business, which was coaching people back into work, with my Salesforce career of getting people trained up in Salesforce, I felt like I'd won won the whole piece really. It kind of like combined the two things together. So Supermums is an authorised Salesforce training provider. We deliver the admin ADX 201 course, the official Marketing Cloud course, and I also deliver a consultancy skills course. And we have a one-to-one and group coaching program that I will mention at the end. We have a range of people that volunteer for us as mentors, trainers, and ambassadors. And we also have a recruitment agency. So I've got a team of about 24, 25 now at Supermums, which is global. So we have a team in the US and a team over in EMEA. And we have brands that sponsor us and hire talent from us as well through the recruitment agency. So there's lots going on at Supermums all the time. I love sharing content and inspiring and educating people. We have a weekly newsletter, which has a weekly blog around various content. We have free peer certification study groups as well. So there's always lots going on. So the Ambitious Women Mindset became, part of a group coaching program really with what we do at Supermums. So let's sort of focus in on the Ambitious Women Mindset. Let's say the sort of 6 components that we're going to go through. I'm going to ask you questions, and you're welcome to share where you feel you want to. There's no obligation to, but I'm going to talk through goals, boundaries, relationships, energy, confidence, and impact at the bottom. Now, I'll start with goal setting. As we go through those 6 areas, the reality is that they might bring up other goals for you. But the other way of looking at the 6 components is if you don't facilitate those different areas, you might not achieve the goals without it. So those 6 areas are very interdependent of each other and all feed into the goals. And likewise, they will all feed into your capacity to achieve your goals. So with goals being at sort of the top of the star really, the main concept, the main sort of focus here, is without a destination and map, you can find yourself lost. So you can just wake up every day, wonder what you're going to do, and never get a sense of achievement, never really be patting yourself on the back. With that, then you don't really increase your confidence, and you're not really sort of navigating anywhere. So one of the things that you want to do if you want to get a better focus and a frame of mind is to get clear on where you really want to go. So are you in a position where you're finding yourself lost, left behind, not performing, struggling with motivation, or lacking confidence in your achievements? The question I have for you is, do you need to get clearer on your destination and tangible goals to know what route to take? And so you will potentially find that big goal, but then what you want to do is create those smaller goals to work towards it, and to feel like you've got a timeline against that and you can tick things off. And I'm going to go to my next slide, which is about goal setting in a moment. But what I'd like you to take away from this is to set yourself daily, weekly, and monthly goals. And we do this very much as a team at Supermums now. and it's made me more accountable as well as everybody else, is every week we will say what our intentions are and we'll report back on our goals. And every team meeting we have quarterly, we share with the whole group what we've achieved and what we've not. So it really has created a lovely way of knowing what's important to everybody, because we don't just talk about career goals with that, we talk about life goals. So it's allowed us all to know what is important to everybody else, which is lovely to know that side of them. And people have been very open about things that are important to them. But we not only share that, say, on a quarterly, we're actually doing it weekly. But then now I write down in my pad my daily goals and tick things off. And there's nothing like getting that sense of achievement at the end of the day when you know that you've done things. And so that weekly reflection is you start to feel that sense of accomplishment, and then that starts to build your confidence. And suddenly you'll feel that your energy changes, your persona changes, and you've got that little bit more of an ambition about you. So with goal setting, there's 4 stages that I'd like you to sort of take away and sort of reflect on, really. The first is to get clarity on what your goals might be. So it might be something that's missing from your life, it might be something that's painful, it might be something that's going to make you happier. So work out what your goals are. And one of the coaching tools that we use at Supermums is a wheel of life. So you can Google that and print it out. But that kind of gets you looking at your life, work, health, relationship, kids, partner, money, all those situations. And you rate everything on a scale of 0 to 10. And you have to really dig deep and sort of be honest with yourself about really how happy are you. And some of those things we can just avoid because we're stupid busy, that we just you just don't want to deal with it. So it's a point to get really honest with yourself and to stop hiding or avoiding things, to say I really need to address that because it's an ongoing problem. And that might be a health condition, it might be a relationship situation. But in order to kind of get to a better position, it's facing up to some of those realities and getting clear on some of those goals. The second is then getting focused on those goals, and what you need to do is write down your intentions, plan your time, and make a commitment to achieving those goals. Now, when I was working with a leadership coach, she moved me away from having a task list. She was like, obviously if something comes into your head, you want to write it down, but then straight away you want to get it into your diary, because the reality is if it's never in your diary, it won't get done and your to-do list will continue to grow. So if something pops into your head, pop it down on where you might have a to-do list, but then put it in your diary or calendar, make time for it and make sure it's provisioned, so it's not always something you have to do at the end of the day. So get focused on when you're going to do things, and that sort of helps you manage your boundaries. So that's something we'll come on to. And number 3 is overcome your blockers. So identify those self-sabotaging habits, overcome the inner critic, and install new habits. Learn how to control your brain rather than control you. Again, this was the biggest game changer for me when I worked with my leadership coach. I wasn't exercising. I was having to get a personal trainer to come out and take me for a run twice a week. It was costing me a fortune. I wasn't really, I was having to pay for it, plus they would take me out. I wasn't doing it enough. When I had leadership coaching and started working on some of these areas, something switched. The switch went, and now I exercise 4 or 5 times a week, and I take myself to the gym. I'm so proud of myself still. I give myself a little pat on the back. I'm like, going for the gym, great. But there was a switch change in there in my brain, and I suddenly took control of it. And I think when you start doing things and you create a habit, then you want to do it more. So it's about instilling those habits which come of you, but also that mindset piece about why it's important. And I think that one of the biggest things that switched is I realized actually those people that perform best are people that exercise and take time out for themselves, because that's when they can then recharge and re-put that energy back in. Whereas I got into a nasty habit of going, I haven't got time to exercise, I've got to do all this work, this is more important. Then I wouldn't really have the energy to do that work, and I'd be faffing around, and my energy wasn't I wasn't in the high performance mode. So I realized that I had to switch it, and that actually hour of exercise was going to help me supercharge and be better at work, which it absolutely does. It's definitely supercharged me. So you've got to kind of rewire your blockers. And the 4th is to celebrate success. Check off and celebrate the achievement of every small goal you achieve to release endorphins in your body that will motivate you to achieve the next goal. That endorphin release is a really important thing, is that you celebrate things, because those endorphins make you feel good, they supercharge you, and they will motivate you to do the next thing. So think about how you can celebrate success and what that might be. It might be a cup of coffee, it might be a glass of wine, it might be buying yourself something. Set out for every goal you've got, small goal or big goal, plan out what you're going to celebrate, how you're going to celebrate finishing, celebrating that thing off. It's like, looking after your kids and motivating them, right? You have to do it for yourself as well, to do these sorts of things. So that's the thing about goal setting. Now, as I say, going around the cycle here, these things can become goals, or they might influence how you can achieve your goals or not. So the first question I'm going to ask of you is, with your energy levels day to day, the reality is that you won't bounce back if you don't have a spring in your step. So you need to plug into positivity. If your energy levels are generally on a low scale of under 5, when things happen that impact you emotionally or in other ways, you're going to really struggle to bounce back, and you will keep sort of bumping along the bottom. I had that with my chronic health. I became intolerant to a lot of foods. My energy levels weren't there. Was trying to obviously figure that out alongside other things that were going on, but my energy levels were between 0 and 5. So I was never optimized in achieving goals, going exercising. It was affecting sort of a lot of things. So in the chat, I'd just love you to share with me, where do you feel your energy level is right now on a scale of 1 to 10? 0 being nothing and 10 being fully energized every day, that you bounce out of bed and look forward to the day and everything's rosy. Where would you say you are right now? Blame the weather. 6. Okay, so not terrible. We've got 7.5. That's good. Okay, so we've got a few 6s, maybe a little bit of work to be there. So I'd like you to retain a positive energy level of between 7 and 10 in normal everyday circumstances. So it means when something does hit the fan, you can bounce back relatively easy, because we're not going to have rosy days every day. Stuff's going to happen, but then you can coach yourself around and know you can get back up. So what's important here, and this is might come into your goals, I want you to discover what gives you energy. And if you know that now, I'd love you to share that. Something to be really mindful of, and again, this is something that I learned about myself over the last 9-10 years, is the difference between extrovert and introvert. And there was a lot of books written about introverts and how their brains are wired differently, and how we need different ways to recharge to an extrovert. And I say we because I recognize myself as an introvert, and because I was like, what's going on? And so I started going, oh, okay, now I get it. So as an introvert, for example, I now only have half a day on Zoom. I'll do the rest of the half a day getting my head down, doing things, and no meetings. I will take Wednesday off, no Zoom meetings. I will make sure I do the exercise, because I know exercise gives me energy, and the exercise I do is very much me, nobody else. So I'll do my Peloton, I'll do my swimming, and that's my downtime. It's my creative thinking time. And so I'd rather do that than go to a class with other people. So I want you to think about what recharges your energy regularly. It might be creative, it might be music, it might be dancing, it might be exercise, it might be doing art, it might be spending time with your kids and your family. I want you to really hone in also if you are introvert or extrovert. So write in the chat to me now one thing which you think gives you energy. Now, whether you make time for this or not is obviously the question to ask yourself right now. If you're not making enough time for things that give you energy, then that can be one of your goals. But if you have got a nice routine with things that give you energy, then brilliant. That's about sustaining it. I love that. Board games, watercolors, getting outside, good weather, road trips. Awesome. Walks and yoga, meditation. Brilliant. Oh, we've got some 4 or 5s there. Brilliant. So energy is definitely something to be working on with some of you. Okay. Walking, yoga. I'm both introvert and extrovert. Yeah, well, you could have a bit of both. It was interesting though with the introvert, how they say your brain is wired differently. So it was interesting how you could be both. I don't know too much about that. yeah, just being really mindful about what you need. I also find that if I have the kids the whole weekend, I have to have some time by myself. So I'll go and lock myself in the bathroom and have a bath. Or I'll be like, I'm going on my Peloton for an hour. Can you go and play? Because now I have, as I sort of went through the divorce, I need to, if I do have the whole weekend, I need to make sure I've got that time to recharge over the weekend. But then I recharge if I don't have them for the weekend. So it's just like making those things for yourself. And I think, as a parent, if you've got kids, it's making time for yourself is so important to do things that give you energy, with or without your kids. So that's the second thing to be really mindful of, is energy. So thank you for sharing. The third is boundaries. So blink and you've missed it. I encourage you to create new habits today to manage your time. So it's about the juggle, not the struggle. The questions are, do you feel overwhelmed and struggle with time management? Do you struggle to say no to things? Do you know what your boundaries are? So my first question is, how do you manage your time at the moment? What tools do you use to manage tasks and things like that? It'd be really interesting to put that in the chat. And is it working for you right now? So I want you to, if this is a priority, because you might be very happy managing your boundaries, which is wonderful. If not, it might be something you need to work on, and it might become a goal of yours. But in the same time, it will help you achieve your goals if you can do it. So as my leadership coach said, you've got to put everything in your calendar and stick to it. So I now have all my exercise in my calendar as well. So I stick to it. I'll say no to things or cancel things that aren't a priority, or just, I sort of, again, control what I do, and I make time for things that energize me. So boundaries at work is also really important here. So, being mindful and speaking to employer, again, going back to those original comments, is, if an employer is if you're working over and beyond your hours at work, what is the reality of that? Is it because you're doing more than expected, i.e. your employee's not expecting it, but you're just not managing your time very well? Is it that you're not skilled enough in something, so you're spending more time? Is it that you actually you have too much on your plate because the employer is giving you too much, and there needs to be a delegation, so you need to be in a position where you stand up and be a bit more assertive about that, or move to another job because it's impeaching on what you need? You've got to work out why, and this was a big thing for me, actually, and it's something I very much advocate amongst our Supermums community, is as a Salesforce professional, and as a business owner, because I'm as an entrepreneur, there's always more to be done. There's always a to-do list, but you've got to control your time and your boundaries. And you've got to look at why you're working overtime. And when I walked away from my last business, I always said to myself, when I start a new business, if I am working more than 40 hours a week, I'm not performing for some reason. I'm doing something wrong. And that's always been my mantra, and I say that to my team members. I said, well, if you're working over your hours, what's going wrong there? What is it that we need to do things differently? What is the reality of that situation? So if you've signed up for a 20-hour contract, that's what you should be working. If you're working beyond that, you've got to figure out, is it you, is it the employer, where does that lie, and fix the situation one way or another way. So boundaries is a big thing. So how do people manage their time right now? So Mehdi, you put one question: how do you put boundaries in your new job where you have to work hard to prove yourself and your supervisor demanding? That's down to you, right? You've got a job for 20 hours to do everything. You need to plan your time, and you need to say what can be achieved in that time. So if I was to step back as a Salesforce consultant, I am managing a project. I know that there's all these tasks that need doing. There's the design, the build, the training, the adoption. This is how long everything will take. This is the timeline. You have to be a project manager. And that's one of the things I think is very important as a Salesforce professional, is that as an admin, particularly if you're a solo admin or a BA or whatever, you have to project manage your time. And you have to be an upward manager to your supervisor, because they need to say, well, look, I've mapped it all out. This is how long it's going to take. These are obviously my working hours. You need to show them the plan. And so they can't say, well, then they can say, well, why is something taking so long? We can say, well, this is how much needs building, and this is how I've calculated the time. So there needs to be a method and a structure to everything that you do, and everything needs to be mapped out. There's a formula. So when I was running a Salesforce consultancy, we had a budget calculator. We'd calculate how long everything was going to take and say that to the client. Because the way that you manage and you would work with a manager is the same that you'd work with a client when you're managing a Salesforce project. You explain to them why everything is going to take as long to design the budget, to explain it to them so they understand it and they feel comfortable with that. As an in-house Salesforce professional, you do exactly the same. You act as that consultant and you map everything out. So hopefully that's helped. So we've got a family calendar to juggle things. Love the calendar tip. I wake up at 4 a.m. and start at 5. Or some people are great at 5 a.m. I wish I was. I keep waking up at 5. I don't want to get up. I'll work and do Canva stuff on my phone sometimes. Good. So I guess it's great to see what you're working on now. The question is it working for you or not? So you might want to find a different way if it's not. So moving on to 4 is confidence. I'd love for you to all share what you believe your superpower is. I just want you to pat yourself on the back for a moment about something that you are really good at. Tell me what your superpowers are right now. So I want you to believe in yourself that you're good at something. And this is where everybody says, oh, I've got nothing. Joanna's fantastic at time management. Awesome. So you'll be a brilliant project manager, Joanna. I'm good developer architect. Fantastic. Anything else? Tough one. Come on. You must have loads of things you're good at, you see. That's the first thing to work on, to find your superpower. Is that because you've got so many? Is that why it's a tough one? So I want you to just be, there you go, amazing solution architect. You've got to really believe in yourself. You've got to really believe what your superpowers are. Now, the reality is, if you are struggling to say what your superpower is, you've got either a really bad inner critic, and in the coaching world, we talk about that as a gremlin on your shoulder. Like, it's that negative voice that is constantly telling you that you're not good enough, that you're not doing very well, and you perhaps need to work with somebody on turning that off and dumbing it down. And that's partly because you've got to be in a situation where you can be proud of what you're good at and to sell yourself. And particularly if you're running a business, or being a sales, if you're being a self-employed consultant, or you're going for job interviews, or you're saying to your manager what you've been good at this year, you've got to be in a position where you stand up for yourself and you tell them what you're really good at. So you've got to be aware, have you got this inner critic on your shoulder going, yeah, telling you you're not good enough? Have you potentially got people around you, and, hence these narcissistic relationships that I've had, have you got people around you telling you that you're not good at things all the time? You want to try and get out of those relationships if you have, and try and distance yourself from people that will reduce your confidence, because that isn't a nice place to be. And everybody should be bigging you up around you, not in a way that they make you arrogant, but in a way that you're brilliant at this. You want to work with a complementary team, and I'm going to come on to relationships and building a team around you, but everybody has the things they're great at. Now, the things that you're not so great at, you can either decide to improve on by training, you can decide to delegate, or you can decide to leave behind. There's certain things that I'm rubbish at, and I'll quite openly say it, but I've built a team to do all the things that I can do them, but I don't like them, or I'm not that good at them, whereas I get a team to do that. So, if you are doing something that you're not very good at, which is damaging your confidence, walk away from it, because it's either something you don't like doing, or you're just not naturally your skill set. You want to walk away. unless it's something that you really want to do, but you need to do more training in, because actually you're doing it and you don't really know what you're doing. So therefore you might want to spend time learning to do things properly so you can get better to build your confidence. The reality is that difference between a growth and a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset will be constantly going, I can't do this, I'm never going to be able to do this, there's no way forward. Whereas a growth mindset is always striving. And I know, talking earlier, in the Salesforce world, we're always solving problems. We're always finding new ways of doing things. We should be naturally in a growth mindset all the time with ourselves also. We're not going to know everything, the answer to everything straight away, but it's that capacity and appetite to keep learning and developing and finding a solution. Or you go to an expert who knows better than you rather than trying to do it yourself. So, it's not like you have to fix everything. So improving your confidence might be a goal for you if you don't feel like there right now. But having that confidence will improve, building that confidence up and tackling any issues there will help you achieve your goals. So relationships naturally build from there, really, is if you are struggling with life and work, as opposed to juggling, I want you to think about building your support network. Now, if you haven't got the right support network in place, then it might hamper you achieving your goals, because you might find that you haven't got enough time in the day for everything. You might put things off or do things that make you unhappy. You might need to move away from negative relationships that no longer serve you. The main thing is you're kind of then more aware of what is it I need to do to enable me to achieve my goals, but to also make me feel happier. So the three things that I'd want you to assess is, can you form a team around you to complement your skills? Can you build new relationships to delegate tasks to people? Can you learn from an expert to build confidence? Or do some, an expert being a trainer or something like that. So I'd just like you to put in the chat one thing that you want to learn this year. What is the one thing that you want to learn and get better at? Is there something you've identified already? Because that would naturally become a goal. Thanks for sharing, Lisa. Lisa saying getting a job. Okay. Oh. I need to build a team to complement my skills. I need to focus more on my business unless I'm writing code. Okay. It's certainly a switch, isn't it? When you're a Salesforce consultant, you end up not working on the projects anymore when you're running a business. It's an interesting evolution. Maybe I can build a team and manage it. So similar maybe there as well. You want to, running a business and managing a team is different to doing the hands-on. So Jamaica, you want to learn more about Marketing Cloud? Cool, okay. Right, it's interesting, yeah. My journey has taken me on that from, now I learn about marketing every day, how to do marketing, different types of marketing, as opposed to doing Salesforce certifications, because that's where the business has taken me almost on that journey. And I sort of go, oh, I'd like to get my hands on with a Salesforce project again. I don't think I'm quite ready for that yet, but I've had my turn. But as we go each year, we need to work out what it is that we're wanting and where we want to be. Okay, we've got some flows there from Michelle. Brilliant. Thank you for sharing. So I want you to have a think about the relationships. And again, I'm going to give you the link to download a planner where you can write all of this, and it will give you all these questions in context and you can go through it. And then the final thing is impact. So do you sit in the shadows or do you step up and make a difference? I think there's something quite special about Salesforce Ohana and the Salesforce values, that there's a lot of emphasis put on making a difference to people. But that difference doesn't need to be necessarily about an impact in the wider world. There's certainly a big emphasis on, having an impact amongst our friends and our family. It could be with customers, it could be colleagues, it could be a world issue, particularly if you want to work for a non-profit. So impact loops us nicely back round to goals. What does impact mean to you? What does it feel and look like? And what would an outcome look like? If you felt that you have an impact this year, would it be, feeling something amongst your family or your friends, or is it about your customers and knowing you've had an impact with them, or is it helping tackle a world issue? It might be work related or not. what impact do you want to have to feel like you've made a difference and given back, if you like, or lived out your purpose? Any thoughts on that? Anybody wants to share that already? Also we've got there about giving back to the community. So that would be lovely to, you might not have it visualized in your head, but what would that look like? Like with these, when you write them down, is to kind of, make it really tangible as well. Like if I was to give back into the community, what would that look like? Is it donating some money? Is it doing some community work? Is it, and what does financial stability means? Obviously, you don't need to share finances here, but, get those figures really clear in your mind, because then that might be about getting that promotion or anything else. As you said about motivating people around me. So really understanding what motivating people looks like and how you'd evaluate that and get their feedback and know that you've done that. Cool. So you've all got like big conceptual ideas of impact there, which is brilliant. And you might well have more detailed thoughts in your head behind that. So what I'd be encouraging you to do is write down like the more tangible stuff, about how you've achieved that. What would it really look like? How would you measure it? So again, you feel at the end of the year or throughout the year that is giving you confidence, that it's building your self-esteem. And this isn't just about you, but just to know that you've done what you said you set out to do, because that's about having that ambitious mindset and about giving you a boost. So lovely, some really different ones there. Thank you. So they're your different 6 pillars, that I'd love you to sort of sit down and sort of think about a little bit more. And I'll share the links at the end around downloading this and the career planner. So I want you to have a think through those aspects. If you do want more support with this, as I say, coaching has been a big sort of component of my life, and some of this you might work through in your own time. I guess the question is you can put it all out on paper and then put it in the drawer, and then you don't really come back to it. So if you feel like you need somebody to hold your hand, at Supermums we are running the Ambitious Women Mastermind, which is going through all of these areas in much more detail, holding you accountable, where you get 3 one-to-one coaching sessions. You get 10 group coaching sessions with people, and there's also 1 hour on-demand training reflective exercise per week. And this is a similar format that I did that really helped me change habits. I paid £9,000 for my program, so it was a big investment for me. I took a loan out from the bank, but I was like at that point where I was like, I am seriously burnt out and I need to make a change, and it completely changed my life, and a lot of things pivoted off the back of it for the better. And I actually said out loud like 2 days ago, I am the happiest I've ever been in my life, ever, because yes, I've been through a lot of stuff, but everything feels really balanced now. Like I've got control of my life and in control of it. So if we can help you achieve that, then we'd love to. We feel like what the price point for this is really reasonable relative to certainly mastermind coaching programs that I've been on and others out there. So it's £960 or $1,200 for this 12-week program. So if you're interested in this, you can reach out to maria@supermums.org. I'll send over all those details. But we'd love to help you. But other than that, I download the goal planner. Use this as your stepping stone. I'll share with you my LinkedIn as well in a moment, and I'd love to know how you're getting on. So if it's just that you're taking this away and you put things into place, like let me know how you're getting on with it. And if you do need more support, you know where we are. You can talk to us about coaching. So I think we've just finished just on 11:30, which is good timing. So I'll answer any of the questions. I'll just take this screen down and share these links.
I have a quick question about the 12-week program. Is it like an ongoing, or is it like certain dates, like 12 weeks, a couple of times every year? How does that work?
It's a 12-week program, and it's every Thursday at a time that is US friendly and UK friendly. So it's 8 p.m. in the evening for UK time.
Okay, so then so whenever you join, you'll just join in for 12 weeks, and it's like an ongoing
Oh, so yeah, so we have a cohort March to May, and then we'll run
Okay.
another cohort later in the year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll just put these links
Okay.
in here. You need to connect with me in the download. Any other questions? I think there's another hand up. Any other questions? Well, thank you for sharing everything. It's been really good. I think writing things down and making things come to life a little bit is really good starting point. So it's been great that you've been very mindful about what you're doing, and hopefully you can all come up with your goals and share them with me in the week if you want to. Connect with me on LinkedIn. But thank you everyone for
Thank
listening.
you so much, Heather.
Useful.
Yeah, I don't really have a question, I guess a comment that I think it was 2 years ago when I invested in the coaching as well. And it was, I didn't have to take a loan, but it was a big investment. This is the biggest money I've ever spent on myself. And I had to talk to my husband for a very long time and tell him, I don't want any Christmas gifts. I don't want any birthday gift. This is all I want. This is all I want to do. This is investment. And I truly believe that has helped a lot. And as you said, that was 2020, and many people, it was the hardest year for me. Still, I feel like it was one of the most well-balanced years and almost like happiest years, honestly, because I just accomplished so much. I managed my mind quite well. I'm trying to get back into that, but I did feel like it was really helpful. And just as you said that if we're trying to achieve any big sport goals, fitness goals, we would hire a coach. So why don't we do that for our brain? And even though now we know that exercising your brain, such as meditating or focusing more, right? Like there's a lot of these exercises that you could do to train it. So the same way we would need a coach for that. And you have a lot of great questions. I took some screenshots because I feel like I need to journal and just like sit down and really think about them. The question about impact, I think, is a very deep and very good one. And just overall applying intention. I think in one of your first slides, you said, like, be mindful, right? So I think that's kind of the key for me in the morning, sitting down and saying, okay, mindful is sitting down and saying, what is my intention for today? What do I want to achieve? Not just because it's something that I want to cross off, because my brain at least really likes check boxes and lists, and I'm happy to cross off all the little things, but really thinking, what will help me? What will move forward? And this is another thing I did put in the chat briefly, where, for many years I did a lot of technical training, and it was great. I'm not saying anything bad about technical training. That's important. But then 6 months of just working on my mindset, I feel like has moved me so much further in my career, even though I didn't learn anything more technical, but I was able to speak differently, think differently, prioritize differently, delegate differently, which helped me to move forward more. So I do think it's super important. That being said, everybody, you have a lot of goal settings resources now. We posted 2 weeks ago our goal setting here, the Women in Tech. I know some of you have attended. Also happy to share that spreadsheet if needed, but you can also check out what Heather has shared. So now you don't have an excuse anymore. Please share with us how it's going and what questions and what support you need from us.
I really circled a lot of things that I'm going to I got from your talk, some really it's the things that I've heard before, but sometimes you just need to hear it maybe one more time. So investing in yourself, support. So we do invest in technical books, technical other stuff, but and first I think the first thing is to acknowledge that you're burnt out because you don't understand your behavior, what's going on. So but investing in support for yourself, it makes so much sense. And then you said, don't wait for your company to do it, do it yourself. And it's an investment in yourself. And and then you say people who perform the best are the ones who take time to exercise. And last year I had made a goal that first thing in the morning, I'll come downstairs, I'll go for a walk, do yoga and meditation. And I did that for a long time, but then the project got crazy and then everything went out the window. So past several months, I haven't done anything. And I was do I even love this life? I know I got a lot done, but so yeah, we have to. And then like you said, put everything like on the calendar and stick to it, because I would try to put stuff like a break or something, but then it will come and go. And I even color it purple so I can see it amongst other in my calendar, but it comes and goes sometimes and I don't stick to it. So yeah. And then, so build, and you said build your support network. And I would like also probably know your support, because I feel like I'm supported, but do I know like who's my support network? I feel like I let people reach out to me, but do I reach out to people when I'm like, or do I just like say, no, I got this? So, but everybody could use some support.
And
I love those observations. Thank you both.
Yeah, I feel it's so hard, Bhavna, also what you pointed out, like sometimes we don't see that we're burned out, and I've been in that places a few times and it's really tough. And at least for me, I close in when I get into that place, and I don't open up and let people help. But if I like stop and say, what am I doing? Like I have friends who are here, they'll come in, they'll help, they'll support. And if I reach out, it helps always, but it's so hard when you're in that place to just pause and kind of look from the outside.
Yeah.
And also there's confidence in relationship that kind of came together, Heather. And Lisa, is it okay if I share today's exchange of our messages? So Lisa is looking for a new job, and she pointed out that she's preparing for this interview, but she's really stuck on one specific aspect that she thinks, I want to cross that, underline this, she thinks that she doesn't have, like one thing out of the whole job description, she's worried about it. And I asked her, tell me what it is. And when she shared, it's like, you totally have the skill. Like, and I gave her some examples. So even if you lack in that confidence yourself, and I know sometimes I do, so Bhavna, thank you for saying kind words in the chat. Same, just reach out to the people, to your support, and sometimes they will help to lift you up, then point out to things that you just have your blinders there, right? And you don't see, but they can see it from different angles.
Yeah. We should probably let Heather go. How late is it for you? I'm just thinking.
I know, it is so late. It's
20 to
getting
12.
midnight
I've got
now.
6 hours sleep. But thank you for having me. I've loved it. I love delivering this.
Thank you. We loved it. Yeah, thank
Hopefully
you
it
for your
helps
time.
you. And I'd love to hear any journeys or outcomes that you achieved. It makes accountability, right? If you tell me what you're going to do. So love you.
Yes.
Yes, thank you everybody for joining. I will send a follow-up notes after we process the recording, and I'll put all the links in the follow-up email. Hopefully it'll come out this time. So sorry for the technical difficulties. Jamika, Michelle, Mehdi, great that you found us a little later, but found us and able to join. Everybody else, great to see you. Heather, thank you so much for today's session.
Thank you.
Very lovely to see you. Come back. Please
Thanks
come
for
back.
having me. Speak to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Bye. Thank
Next
you.
time.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for joining.